So what now for Thailand? In Bangkok is Panatan Watanayagon, Professor of Political Science at Chulalongkorn University. And in the studio, Natavud Pimpa, Professor of International Business at RMIT University in Melbourne, and Deja Sriratan, former President of the Thai Association in Australia. Gentlemen, welcome to you all. Thank you very much. To Bangkok first, if I could. Professor Panatan, this exercise has really resolved nothing, has it? Yingluck Shinawatra is still Prime Minister. The opposition is no closer to getting into government.
That is correct. But of course, in legal terms, she's moving away from a caretaking to a government post-election. And there are many legal battles in front of her. Starting from tomorrow, I think the opposition party leader will submit a complaint to the court on her wrongdoings regarding elections. And many more other issues regarding legal battles should begin from tomorrow.
Central to the opposition's position in all the turmoil in recent months, Professor Panatan, has been this question of government corruption and electoral manipulation. Exactly what is it that the opposition is complaining about? After all, in the last election, Yingluck Shinawatra did win a significant majority. However free and fair the election was not, she still got there.
Well, it has to do with rules and regulations on how the campaign is financed, that number one. Number two, how the political parties are campaigning, especially on the popular or populist programs, that's another. And lastly, of course, it's about the controlling of the executive power to the ministries which are responsible directly or indirectly affecting the election outcomes, including the Ministry of Interior people, including the police and other bureaucratic offices.
Dr. Deja Sriratan, whatever the actual figure turns out to be, it's certainly the case that the number of people voting in this election is much lower than back in 2011. In Bangkok itself, only 26%. Now, that is the capital is an anti-government stronghold, but nevertheless, that is not a vote of confidence, is it, in Yingluck Shinawatra?
Most of people, they prefer not to go to vote, and many of them went there to vote for no, because they don't want to have the government. They want to finish the government as soon as possible. That's the general feeling of the Thai people here in Australia as well. Yeah.
I wonder whether I could put something else to you that Professor Panatan referred to, which is the likelihood of judicial involvement. There's been judicial involvement, a lot of it, in the lead up to this election, and there obviously will be more. From what you can gather from your friends at home, how do you think the Thai people, though, would take to having the government dismissed by the courts rather than by a democratic vote?
Yes, that's what we are wishing for, because most Thai people still believe that in the court system, and we believe that one day, very soon, hopefully, when the justice decide or make decision that Yingluck she get involved with the some kind of corruption, like particular in terms of the rice pledging program, and then Thai people will feel that the way to solve the problem. We not 100% sure about the protesters, whether they're going to be successful or not, because the government try to hold on the position, on the power, as you know. Yeah.
Professor Natavud, I did notice you shaking your head slightly there. Do you think that the Thai people would accept a decision, a result that is the consequence of judicial action rather than by democratic vote?
Jim, I see a contradiction in this issue. When you talk about judiciary coup, it's a term introduced by Dr. Chris Baker, one of the key critics of Thai society and Thai studies. Well, you can really see the play of power of judicial system and institutions, or could be institutions such as the Anti-Corruption Commission or the electoral commissions. However, in the eyes of the global community, we believe that election is the way to go. So if we will not accept the way that people vote or the power of the vote, instead of looking at the power of vote, we look at the third power from the judiciary system. So what we put Thailand in that situation? will be really highly accepted in the eye of the global community? That's the question I raise.
Professor Panathan, it is quite clear that whatever else, that there is division about the intervention of the courts from here on in. That is not a good prospect, is it, for Thailand, that the division must continue whatever follows from here?
In the recent years, I think the two courts have been very careful in terms of getting involved into the political conflicts. They are trying to make sure that their rulings are acceptable based on the legal interpretations. But of course, it's not easy when you have a deep division, a polarized politics in Thailand at this time. But other than that, we may have to do away. If we have to do away with the courts, we may have to go back to the old ways of doing things, which is not wanted or desirable. That is intervention from the military, intervention from any other forces. I think for the time being, I think it's better to deal with the courts and to, of course, fight your legal grounds, legal battles through the system that we have.
Professor Panathan, isn't the real political problem for the opposition, at least, is that in election after election it has been shown that it cannot win the confidence of voters in the north and northeast of the country? What does it have to do to smarten up its act so that it will win the confidence of those voters, to give it an opportunity at a democratic election to defeat the Thaksin Yingluck forces?
Well, I think the best way out from this problem of electoral representation is to have the two parties to work together to redesign the election system, which is, by the way, even the ruling party, the Pheu Thai party, agree that the current election system has some big problems and they need to fix it. But of course there are differences among the two parties on what are the issues to work on it, on improving the electoral system.
Fair enough. But Professor Nuttavud, if I could ask you this, I have noticed that despite all the turmoil, despite all the trouble, in the wake of the elections, the stock market in Bangkok rose, the baht is on the way up again. What does that tell us, and briefly if you could, about the views of investors about the immediate future of Thailand?
In the last 6 months, we really witnessed the pullout of global fund, about 4.7 billion from Thailand, because of the political actions and because of the political unrest. So I can really see in the long run, this political unrest will negatively affect the foreign direct investment into the country. And I reckon the second negative sign economically is, if you look at the baht currency, it has weakened 5.6% during the same period of time. So if people argue that you can really see the high percentage of import in the country, perhaps it's more of the global issues, because in the last 2 months we can witness pretty much the same thing in most part of the world. But in the long run, in international business, we believe in the power of institutions. And in the country where we really have uncertainty in terms of political policy, obviously economic policy will be badly affected. And in this situation, we don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't really see what is going to be the long-term economic policy in Thailand. So I certainly believe that will affect the mind of the international investor into Thailand.
A pessimistic note to bring this conversation to an end, but end we must. And gentlemen, to you all in Bangkok and here in the studio, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.